Hey there, comic book friends, I'm Travis, and this is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes, and or Ethan doesn't read them or doesn't review them along with me. At some point I'm probably going to change that little intro because people aren't going to know who the heck Ethan is because you don't see him in the other reviews anymore either. But at any rate, that's what it is right now. I've been trying to do these No Capes outside. That's how I prefer them, get a little better natural light and whatnot than in my basement. But spring has gone away and it's gone back to being miserably cold and rainy outside, so that's not happening. So I guess deal with the poor lighting here until someday I choose to buy lighting that lights things well. Anyway, this is for, well, let's see, this would be last week's books, which would be what, the second week of April. First up, we're going to talk about Saga. Issue 12, another fabulous issue. This is the infamous issue that has the 2 postage stamp size images that if you aren't really looking at them hard and if they wouldn't have had a big chaos on them on the internet, probably half the readers would have missed those images altogether. But at any rate, those images, Brian K. Vaughan says that they're necessary. I will believe that, that somehow they will come into play in the story. They'll be part of a greater picture later on. So I don't have an issue with it. Not that I'd have an issue with it anyway. You know, whatever. And, you know, it doesn't make me not want to read the book or anything silly like that. There's been some talk about, you know, hinting that maybe that means that Prince 4 is gay. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm still puzzling and pondering over what all those images could mean. Do we take them literally? Are they a metaphor for something else? I'm not sure what bukkake is a metaphor for. I'm sure somebody out there will now tell me what that would be a metaphor for. You know, somebody like Agent 42Q or something, he'll give me a metaphor for that. Anyway, this book, though, beyond that, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we finally got back to Prince 4. I think he's a very interesting character. It was interesting seeing his flashback to his injury. You know, we get some of his post-traumatic stress syndrome kind of stuff going on as to why he is the way he is. His confronting the writer is really interesting, and how that all plays out. You know, and then in the cliffhanger at the end, I think is an excellent cliffhanger. Was this like uber intense exciting? No, but it's still, I think it still gave us wonderful tension, you know, building up to us, you know, the end of this with what's happening at the very end. It's just going to be, it's going to be nuts to see what transpires. Of course, now I've got this big break again. If you're interested in the book and you haven't been picking it up, go pick up the trades. First trade's already out. Second trade will come out during the break. So you'll be all caught up if you choose to not get the singles. The storytelling in this, of course, continues to be amazing. Maybe the pace of this wasn't fast, but I don't think the pacing needs to be fast all the time. It doesn't need to be a rip-through kind of a book. You know, we need to know more about these characters. I think, you know, what makes them tick, what makes them die. I mean, this guy's got a lot of pressure on him. I mean, all the ways that he's getting, he's a victim as much as potentially our star-crossed lovers are. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a good book. I mean, I just can't, I mean, unless you're just offended by, you know, some of the sexual content that's in the book, you absolutely hate sci-fi fantasy type things. If you hate those things, then yes, this is not a book for you. If you you're not offended or bothered by those things, and you want to read a story that is masterfully told, everything about this book is excellent. The craftsmanship on all levels is just absolutely amazing. And the letters pages are always awesome to read too. Brian K. Vaughan is pretty funny. Okay, next we're going to talk about Saucer Country. This is issue 14, final issue. Potentially there will be no more, or Vertigo's not going to put out any more. As it is, Paul Cornell and Ryan Kelly have both hinted online that they are going to seek someplace else to finish telling the story that they want to tell. That being said, issue 14. I've really enjoyed this series. It's not super gripping. Earlier on, it really was. There was some pretty intense stuff as we're starting to really explore the space alien stuff. Then these had more to do with the election and getting elected and all the gears and wheels that go along with that election. Arcadia does get elected. She is the first, of course, Latino and female President of the United States, which is a wonderful idea. She's a cool character. I think that the stories going forward from this were going to be exceptionally interesting, because now that she has the power of the White House, how would she have used that to explore her belief in the space aliens and having been abducted, and what does that all mean, and what other conspiracies are out there that are moving around attempting to do stuff to mess with this and the candidacy and whatnot. So that's a real bummer, and it's really unfortunate. And I know they didn't really change the story for this to have it be a final ending, because they couldn't wrap up the story and get the artwork done in time. Ryan Kelly had already done too many pages of the last work that they would have had to throw that all away, and he wouldn't have had time to do the whole thing himself. So they chose to just continue with the story and then hope that they could pick up with some other company and finish this out in some other sense. But it ended slow. It ended slow because you just aren't getting the opportunity to really explore all that, I don't think. So I really enjoyed this. If you can find a good deal on the trades or that sort of thing, I would, I still think it's a good readable thing. I love Ryan Kelly's art. I hope Ryan Kelly gets better. He's got some medical issues that really make his life difficult, but he still soldiers through and does great work. I hope to see more great work by him coming up soon. But yeah, 14 issues doesn't seem very long. It told some interesting stuff, created some interesting questions, but didn't really unfortunately wasn't really allowed to cinch up a whole bunch of stuff. And, maybe that's one of the problems with it. I mean, I can see it's not a super fast-paced book, so I can see it not being so flashy as to grab everyone's attention to get the viewership that it needed. Okay, next up, the Infuriating issue number 2 of Sex. Second issue, collector's item. Infuriating because the colored words with inside a word balloon continues in this. They've even added more colors now. There's at least 5 or 6 different colors that are in this book. It makes no sense as to why the words that are colored. I mean, usually when you're reading a normal comic book, if a word is a little bolder than the rest of the text, it's because there's some emphasis on that word. Somebody's saying, run or whatever. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason to why the things are in this. As far as the title, once again, we pass through a room full of sex, but it doesn't really, so far, hasn't really honestly played into the plot line of the actual story itself, other than our main character, his ex-nemesis, who's kind of, I would bill her as being the equivalent of Catwoman to Batman. She owns the sex shop and stuff. But now I've heard people say this is a mini-series and it's like 4 issues long. I haven't been able to find that. So if somebody can point me to a link that actually says Sex is only X number of issues long, awesome, I'd love to know. Because if it's a mini-series, I'll finish it out just to see where that's going. If this is going to be an ongoing, unless the next issue I get just completely blows my mind and really honestly ties this whole sex title thing into the story better, I'll be done with this if this is an ongoing. It's not that interesting. It's taking a very long time to show what little it's actually showed. this really was kind of a do-nothing comic, kind of along with the other one. There are bits and pieces. I mean, you know, yes, there's the titillation of the fact that, you know, there's the kind of sex scenes in this issue. They aren't even that explicit in this one. I mean, they are in the sense, obviously, you see that people are, you know, doing lots of acts, but it's not as explicit as the last issue where you actually saw genitalia. I don't think there's any genitalia in this issue that I can remember at all. But it's not even part of really the real story, other than them leaving the building, talking about the fact that, yes, people come here to blow off steam. You know, whatever. I don't know. I don't understand what the point of this book is yet. It sounded like this was going to be an interesting premise. This guy who's an ex-superhero trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life, and somehow wrapped up in a sex type thing. He's not wrapped up in anything right now. He's just kind of going through the motions, and the sex is irrelevant so far, unless I'm really missing something. If I am, comments down below. Let me know. Cut a video. Let me know. Because yeah, I mean, I like the cover. It's a cool cover for what the title that it is, but I don't know. Just not impressed with that book at all. So like I said, if you know it's a mini series or it's not going either one, if you found the information someplace, if you can link it somehow to let me know where I can find it at, or PM me the address so I can see what it is, that'd be much appreciated. Okay, lastly, this time around, we'll talk about Sledgehammer Sledgehammer 44, issue 2 of 2. This was an excellent story. I love this 2-issue. This thing about this character, this half of it dealing with the Germans and whatnot, it's really cool. Felt like a war comic that I remember as a kid. I kind of liked some of the Sergeant Rock kind of thing. This had that kind of feel to it. I really enjoyed that, and to me that seems strange because I don't really see myself as being a war comic type reader, but it had a little bit of that feel to it. It was just kind of cool. Plus, it had this kind of super science, supernatural thing that happens in about the middle of it that just made for a really cool story with kind of heavy consequences at the end of this kind of metaphysical, paranormal, superpowered kind of thing, and how it works and what happens with it was really cool. Of course, a glorious Mike Mignola cover. And Jason Latour's artwork in this, top notch between him and Dave Stewart's colors. Just a really great art. You don't have to, you could read this and not have to know anything about the whole Hellboy universe or any of that stuff. Wouldn't matter. This would just be kind of a tight little story, World War II story, where the United States is using this super-powered armor, however it works, and a little blip about that, and there's one character in this thing that's from the universe, but he's a professor, and you'd simply just need to know he's a professor. It wouldn't matter at all. But I thought it was really cool. Really enjoyed it. It was, like I said, an enjoyable read. We're getting in a lot more of the Hellboy universe. In the last, like, I don't know, couple weeks, I've read a couple trades worth of Hellboy, and I'm reading the third one right now, and just really been getting into it, and really been cool going back and getting that Hellboy information just to fill in my knowledge, but it's been pretty cool. Anyway, that's it for this time. I'll see you on the weekend for whatever else is coming up. Bye.